Underneath the surface deep, secrets of the water keep.
Hey fishing fans. So I wanted to record some of these journeys. I've put out a couple of videos already, but mostly just because I know a lot of people have trouble with journeys. I haven't even finished all my journeys. So I figured while I play through the journeys, why not record them and maybe give a few tips on how you can finish them or demo them. One that a lot of people struggle with is the Fancy Carp. And so I figured why not go try and do that one. That is let me find it real fast. Carp Collector in Korea. There we go. So that's the first one in the intermediate. And I had a lot of trouble getting the Fancy Carp down here. But I've already completed this one, but we'll do it again. So Carp Collector in Korea, start stage. Now, there are a couple ways to approach this. Okay, so deducing what fish figuring out what fish you want to catch before you cast is really the trick to a lot of these. And so it's using the information that you have or resources available. So what I will do is I'm going to pull up later on the spreadsheet from the TheVRFisherman that he put together for this map, because it's really going to help us figure out which fish is the Fancy Carp. And we'll try it both ways. So right now we're after the Crucian Carp, which is here, and it's going to like dough ball, worm, soft bait. It's in all three levels. So let's see what else is here. We have another fish that likes dough ball, all three levels. We have a rare fish, we don't know what it likes. Goldfish that likes dough ball. Bluegill that likes worm and grasshopper. Green ultra perch that likes shiner grasshopper. We don't have to worry about that. Grasshopper, worm, and we said the crucial. So we have fish that like everything, but not that specific combination. And I think this is I'm not sure if this is small or medium size, so that we'll have to figure that out. Skin carp. What we want to do is find, so this is going to help us. We have no other fish that likes that combination of live baits, dough ball and worm. Some like dough ball, but not worm. Some like worm, but not necessarily dough ball. So let's use that information to find our fish. So we go to normal mode. Hard mode is just works as well. So we said dough ball and worm is what we want our fish to be green on. So I'm going to pick this up. Switch to dough ball, and we're just going to look and see fish that are green on dough ball. See two fish down here. These are medium-sized fish. If you notice where I'm pointing here, that fish down here in the water column is a medium-sized fish. The yellow fish up here on top is a large fish, and then this yellow fish over here that kind of looks like a bluegill is a small fish, and that's for all maps, and that's the way that all these fish will display in normal mode. There's one other size, and it's called huge. We don't have them here. They're much bigger than even the large fish, so and they're very easy to distinguish. So all right, so we want to do dough ball green and worm green. So we have one that's green on dough ball and green on worm. So brought up the wrong menu. I wanted to double check because typically your larger fish would be further down in the list, and nothing else in this list is going to be green to dough ball and worm. So this one's green to worm, but not dough ball. This one's green to shiner and krill. This one's green to dough ball, but it won't green to worm. If it's not listed here, it's not gonna be green when you put that bait on. It'll be either yellow or red. Paradise fish doesn't like anything, so it'll always be yellow or red. Goldfish likes dough ball, so it'll be yellow or red to worm. Minnow, bluegill likes the worm, yellow or red to dough ball. Grasshopper and shiner for the Korean orchard perch, so no conflict there. Worm. So yeah, that's the only fish. So we know now that it's a medium-sized fish, and this is our target fish because it's green when we have worm on, and then when I use the thumbstick and arrow over, it's also green with dough ball. It's also not green with grasshopper. So that could be important information later on. So let me catch that fish, and that should be our fish. Now this one was relatively easy. They get harder, especially as we get to the fancy carp, and so we will figure that out. So this should be us, fish and carp. Go back to the lodge. And we'll try and catch the next carp. Common carp at Lake Gosam. I assume it's Gosam. I'm not sure for sure. Okay, let's see what we have here for. And we want common carp, dough ball. They like spinner and soft bait. Let's see what else we have. And it's all through the water column, so anywhere. So I just take a look real quick and see if anything likes dough ball or spinner, the combination of spinner soft bait. Or the combination of all three, actually. But I do like to look first within lures and then within live baits, so you don't actually have to change your rod to double check, but that is a possibility, right? So spoon, spinner, soft bait, okay. But the goldfish definitely likes dough ball only. So the goldfish is going to be small. I believe this is going to be medium-sized fish. But again, we don't necessarily know because I'm assuming that we come in here with really no knowledge about these fish. So, spinner, soft bait. Crucian carp like soft bait. Nothing else so far like spinner and soft bait. So, Piscivorius, fancy carp, snakehead, catfish, minnow, spoon middle jig, silver carp, largemouth bass, and smujala. So nothing likes the combination of spinner and soft bait. So we're going to use that to find our fish. So we'll switch over to lure fishing. Pick up our thing. We should still be in normal mode. And I'll put on a spinner. We're going to look for a green fish with a spinner. We have one green fish here. It's a small fish. Again, another green fish over here. It's a small fish. We have no other green fish in here. So now we said it was spinner and soft bait, right? Spinner, soft bait. Spinner, soft bait. We were green to. So arrow over one time. Now this fish that was green, so I'll show you again. Spinner, it's green. Soft bait, it's not. So let's go back to the other fish that was green with spinner. And then we're going to arrow over, and it's not green for soft bait. So what that means is we don't have the fish. When the fish spawned in here, that common carp did not spawn. So we reset the fish by changing our difficulty and changing it back. And all you have to do, it doesn't take very much. You just, anytime you change the difficulty, it respawns the fish. That prevents you from like looking at where the fish are and then going to expert and where you can't see the fish at all and trying to catch the fish. So, you know, it's a good thing. So now we're back to normal. We see one green fish down here. It's a small fish. We see one green fish over here. It's a medium fish. So let's check the small fish first. We're green on spinner, but it's yellow on soft bait, so not our fish. Let's check this one. Green on spinner and green on soft bait. That's going to be our fish. Now the next step is, let's look at the fish that are around it. This fish has no fish around it, so we should be good to use either spinner or soft bait. But generally, if, for example, we had a bunch of fish around our fish, I would want to pick the bait that has more red and yellow around our fish so that we're not attracting the wrong fish. If that makes sense. So we were going to catch this fish. And again, I could even switch over to float fishing here. Because now I know the fish. I know which fish we want to catch. So if you're not comfortable with lure fishing and you prefer float fishing or vice versa, you can switch over once you know the fish. Really, we're just testing to make sure that we're catching the correct fish and not wasting our time catching a bunch of fish that we don't want to catch. We want to target that fish. Alright, common carp. Let's go to the next one. So yeah, I'm taking some time. This may be redundant for a lot of people. If so, I will put in the timestamp at the beginning of the video where you can skip to, where I explain the Fancy Carp. And so, yeah, I'll put that at the beginning of the video. I'll probably do even a voiceover, so if you're hearing this and you skipped ahead, you didn't even have to hear this. If you didn't skip ahead and you're watching this, then sorry for being redundant. Leather carp, start stage. It's going to be our next fish. Okay, so let's pull up the leather carp right now, and let's see what he likes. He likes a dough ball, soft bait, minnow, and he's only in the middle and top. Okay, so we never caught the, assuming we've never caught this fish before, or we don't know what size it is. One way you can kind of start to tell the size, but it's not it's pretty true for regular fish. I think sometimes epics and possibly rares can get mixed around in here, but for the most part, you'll be starting at small fish on the top, working your way down to medium fish. So if you're, if you know minnow is a small fish, which it should be, if you don't know that Korean bitterling is a small fish, if you don't know that swiri is a small fish, you could be on that border where if you're after the swiri and you're like, hey, the one before it, Korean bitterling, I know is a small fish, but this could be medium. So there's that. So if you can decide what the fish is without knowing the size, that helps, but we may need to actually kind of deduce the size as well. So this is going to like dough ball, soft bait, minnow. Let's see if we have that combination anywhere. So far nothing likes dough ball, so dough ball, soft bait, minnow, top and middle. So dough ball, soft bait, minnow. Okay, that's our fish. This one doesn't like that. And I'm also checking just see, hey, is it just soft bait and minnow? Can we use that? Soft bait and minnow. So the sea run dace is going to be all through the water column at like soft bait minnow. But it doesn't, so this is one where we may have to use both of our things to determine, because right now the sea run dace like soft bait and minnow. So we will have a match on soft bait minnow, and it could be one or the other. Now, what you could do is just, if they're green on soft bait minnow, catch it if you don't mind catching the wrong fish a few times. Mazu salmon, soft bait minnow. Oh no, none of these fish. Now I do know snakehead, catfish, skygager, silver carp are large, but I'm going to pretend that I don't. So let's just go through these and see soft bait minnow. None of them do like soft bait minnow combination, except the sea run dace, which doesn't like dough ball. So I wonder if right now, if I didn't see any dough ball on its own, so we may be able to just check dough ball instead of having to switch. I don't see dough ball. Fish that like dough ball is not in here, just dough ball only. So instead of checking with a lure, we can simply find a fish that's green on dough ball. it's going to be in the middle or top because it's the only fish in this index that likes dough ball. I didn't see dough ball on any other fish. Let's check it out. And you know you did something wrong if you catch the wrong fish. But you know, hey, it is what it is. Sometimes I miss things, sometimes, you know, and I'm doing this live, so if I miss something, then I miss something. So we have one green fish here. We said it's the only fish that likes that. We don't even have to necessarily pay attention to where it is in the water column, but this does look like it's middle. So I'm gonna extend. We're not going long, we're going middle, and we will catch it. Everything else around it is green, is red or yellow. So if we get our bait in the right spot, which that was a horrible cast, we can get our bait in the right spot, we should attract that fish first. This yellow one's going to come in, so hopefully ours bites first, and it did. So this should be our leather carp. And it is. Let's go. All right, now we're going to go to the snakehead. We're quickly working our way to the fancy carp. All right, here, snakehead. Let's see what we have. Snakehead. Snakehead is here. Now, I personally know that the snakehead is a large fish, but again, we're working on the concept that we don't know what size it is. It's going to be the top two columns of water. Top two. It's going to like shiner, crankbait, popper, whopper, plopper. So we got shiner in the catfish, but it's on the bottom, so we know. So we can use the depth to distinguish between these two. The silver carp likes, so this like crankbait, popper, whopper, plopper. Silver carp, and it likes shiner. Silver carp likes crankbait, metal jig. Okay, so both of these will be green on the crankbait, but this will be green on the whopper plopper. This will be green on the metal jig. Oh, we got the largemouth bass, which exists in all three, so all through the water column. And it likes crankbait, popper, and whopper plopper, and shiner. So what are we going to do here? How are we going to tell the difference? Well, one thing that we could do is find one that matches this, go after fish in the top or middle, and yeah, we may catch some largemouth bass, but eventually we could get our snakehead. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about figuring out which one. Now, both of these like exactly the same thing. They exist in the same water column, right? The same parts of the water column. The bass will be on the bottom, but the snakehead won't. So let's figure out how to do it. And I'm going to give you a tip. And one of those tips is for the VR Fisherman and his spreadsheets. So I will have a link in the description here to one of the spreadsheets and to his YouTube channel. Give him a follow on, or give him a subscribe on YouTube if you don't care. Because he's going to help us solve this thing. Because really what it comes down to is what these fish are yellow and red, right? So we know the green is exactly the same between these two fish. They exist in the same spot, but the question is there some that the snakehead, are there lures or baits that the snakehead absolutely hates? And the largemouth bass is kind of like impartial to. That's what I call it, yellow impartial or whatever. That will help us distinguish the two so that we only catch the snakehead. So I have, and you can do this as well, and here if you just press the Oculus button, you go to the browser. I have bookmarked several of the VR Fisherman. He has his spreadsheet split up by DLC. We're in South Korea right now, so I'm going to pull that one up. And I will link the South Korea in the description for this video. So pull that up in game. You know, you could just go to YouTube in here and then pull up the link, and then bookmark it. And so the bookmark's going to be up here on the right as soon as the page opens. There it goes. As soon as the page opens. So how do you read this spreadsheet? Like, it's a bunch of red and green and yellow, and it has some names of fish, and it has depth and map. There's a lot of information here. So we need to go back to what we were looking for, which is the snakehead. So let's find the snakehead first, and I'll tell you how to read this. So the snakehead, we don't see it so far. There's a snakehead here. I'm going to highlight the row. So right now the color coding behind the name of the fish and the rest of the columns, except for the red, green, and yellow columns, is matching the size of the fish. So we know that the snakehead is now large. He says that it's in all maps in Korea. He has it marked as a top. In the game it actually says top middle. And now one thing that he did is he already mapped, so we know that it's green on crankbait, green on popper, green on whopper plopper, and it was green on shiner. But he's already mapped all the things that it's yellow to and it's red to. So he actually kind of caught it and then said, okay, I know that's a snakehead. Let me find out what it doesn't like as well. And so that's what the spreadsheet really does for us. So if we look at the snakehead and we know the largemouth bass, in the game, they like the same things. But if you notice here, whoops, the snakehead on line 22 and the largemouth bass on line 27, one is going to be red, so they're both going to be yellow on softbait, on spoon. They're both going to be red on spinner, but the snakehead will be red on softbait. Okay? So we can legitimately say, okay, if we find a large fish in the top or middle, and it's yellow on spoon, red on spinner, and just looking at the rest of the fish, there's none that have that specific combination, yellow, red, red, right? Starting from spoon. And the way that he has these set up with the lures and with the live baits is if you start at one and you arrow over to the right, you would go from spoon to spinner to softbait to minnow to crankbait to metal jig. Popper and whopper plopper are a little out of order. If you have like A baits and B baits and C baits or whatever, they are in order if you just have the A baits only. And then these are definitely in order. Dough ball, then arrow over to grasshopper, arrow over to worm, arrow over to krill, arrow over to shiner, arrow over to crawfish. If you arrow to the right again, it's going to take you back to the dough ball. We can also see that they have a difference here where the snakehead, if you want to use live bait and use that to distinguish the fish, right here on a crawfish, the snakehead is going to be yellow and a largemouth bass is going to be red. Also on a krill, the snakehead's going to be yellow, largemouth bass is going to be red. So if we look at this map, there's no other, so now we can just, I like to play with the large fish here so that we're not having to look all the way up and down, and we can just find in this grid how this fish is unique. And so if we do krill, shiner, crawfish, yellow, green, yellow, starting at krill, going to the right, there's no other fish that's going to have that combination of yellow, green, yellow that's a large fish and at the top, right? But it's just a large fish, yellow, green, yellow, or it's a large fish, yellow, red, red, starting with a spoon. So that's how we're going to distinguish it. I hope that helps explain how to use this. If you sit here and look at this, there may be better ways to actually distinguish it. I just look for the first way, right? So you may be able to say, okay, well, it's going to be the only large top that is red on softbait because the sturgeon is at the bottom. That's another one, right? So I wouldn't even have to flip through. But for the sake and purposes, I'm just going to flip through because it's easy and it's what I see immediately. That's the pattern that I saw. But right here, I can see it's the only large fish that'll be on the top or middle that'll be red on softbait. If it's red on soft bait and at the bottom, it's going to be the Chinese sturgeon, right? So looking at these spreadsheets, more and more patterns can come out, but I'm just going to use the first one that I saw, which is spoon, spinner, soft bait, yellow, red, red, and then we should arrow over and go to crankbait and have it be green. So starting with spoon, yellow, red, red. Let's switch over, go to lure fishing, starting with spoon. Spoon is always to the left of the spinner. Yellow, red, red is what we said, and it's going to be a large fish. So large fish are like this yellow one here. The large fish have a little bit longer tail. Don't confuse them with the medium fish. I'm trying to find a close medium fish that makes it easy to distinguish. There's one over here behind the large fish. They're not, oh, there's a medium fish like right here in the middle. Let me see if so the medium fish right here is the yellow fish right here. And if you notice, it's a little, the shape is a little more round. The tail doesn't come back as far as the large fish. So that would be the medium fish in normal mode. So let's see, let's go back to spoon. We said it was spoon, starting with spoon, it would be yellow. Then to the right one, red, to the right one, red. So we have a snakehead right here. So let's go right over to crankbait. Let's see, we have a fish over here that's green. This one is yellow. We have some fish over here that are green. Let's see if they're still green when we go to popper and whopper plopper. And they are. We actually have more that are green with whopper plopper. So we'll use a crankbait. And if you have a bunch of green that are around it, it's okay to just fish and get those other fish out of the way as well. But we can just put that lure right here and get our fish. And we know before we even cast what the fish is and what we're going to be catching. We're going to apply that in the next map as well to the Fancy Carp. And this snakehead does not like to come in fast. Does not like to come in fast at all. There's a snakehead. Snakehead. Okay, I'm not going to sing the snakehead song. Or I mean the fishhead song. Revised to go for snakehead. Not going to do it. Not today. All right. So now, main event. Fancy carp. A lot of people have a problem with the fancy carp. Let's see how we can figure out what it is. All right, fancy carp. So there's a couple ways to do this. Okay, let's go and let's check out what the fancy carp is. Fancy carp right here, second page, nothing. How do we catch it? What have we learned about like what the fish like and what the fish don't like? We know that if it has nothing here, it's not going to be green for anything. Okay, so let's find out are there any other fish that either don't like any lures or don't like live baits at all. And so I'm just going to start here on the third page and we'll go because we have a lot of fish on this map. So we have bullhead. That's an epic. You have to be on expert max level. That's not us because we're playing normal mode right now. Largemouth bass will be green to something. Rainbow trout will be green to something on live baits and lures. Silver carp, green to something. You know, we don't care what they're green to, these other fish. Sky grigger, green to something. Also, one thing that we didn't check is going to be middle to bottom, right? So bottom. We don't know what size it is. Based on this, it could be maybe medium, maybe large. We knew the snakehead was large fish. The last one that we caught was the crucian carp. I think that was a medium fish. It's kind of somewhere in the middle, so it could be medium, it could be large. Let's see. Catfish definitely has something it'll be green to. The snakehead has something it'll be green to. The salmon has something it'll be green to. Skin carp, sea run dace, green piscivorous, crucian carp, and fish. I'm just going to check the rest of these real quick. They all have something they're green to, except for this rare. So, if we arrow through our baits, and we find a fish that's not green to anything, we can't make it go green either with a lure or with a live bait of float fishing. We know it's either going to be the fancy carp or the round-tailed paradise fish. They're both middle to bottom. And so, again, we could either try and catch both of them, or we can refer to our spreadsheet or something like that to help us out. But this actually would not be a bad way to go about it, right? Especially because both are rare. I wouldn't mind catching both. You're probably going to get one or the other, but we want to target a specific fish. So let's real quick see if we can find one. And so when I'm targeting a fish or looking for rares, what I do is I kind of section things up and I just arrow through, and I find as a fish turns green, I mark it out. I don't look at it anymore, and then I'll just make my way through. So these two are already green, so they're not going to be in my view. I'm going to actually start over here and work my way left. So these two are green. I'll check these two and these three. Okay, so red, that's good. So we have green, so these three, and that one is still in play here. Yellow. Now all four of those turned green at the same time. So all these fish, I divide my map up here, all these fish are out of the running. And that fish, as I arrowed over, that fish turned green, so now these fish are all there except for that one. Now let me go back to spoon and watch these fish. I'm going to watch these two because they kind of keep running back and forth. See if we can get them turned green. They both just turned green. All of those turned green, except for those two, which we already saw were green. So we have no rare in here. Now, that's kind of tedious to go through all of that to find a rare fish, but let's keep going. So, like, we have no rare fish in here. Just decided. Let's do it again. Start with spoon. I like to start with spoon. I kind of just divide them up visually on the screen. And I arrow over, nothing's green yet. That one's green, but the rest are not. That one's green. All of them went green. They all went green eventually. So none of these fish are target fish. Now I'll kind of do this section. I'm just looking at these two front. They're yellow. This one's green. Those two are green. The bottom one hasn't gone green yet, but it just went green. Okay, so all these fish are out. So now we have the three fish over here. Green on bottom. Green on top here. That one hasn't gone green yet, but it just went green. So we have absolutely no rare fish in here. And this is tedious, sorry. I'm gonna show you the easy way in just a moment. Because there is an easy way. Okay. So I just want to find the fish first. So that's green. We have green there, green there. So some of these haven't turned green. Green, green, green. This one hasn't turned green down on the bottom, but it just did. Okay. Got these two that I haven't checked yet. These two, and kind of these four maybe. I'll check right now. That one's green. And these three are green. So now this one, that's green. Now these three. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, when you see a fish like down here in the corner, be suspicious. Be suspicious. The rare fish, for some reason, they love to hang out in the corner. So that's not it. We're gonna start here. This one, I'm just gonna watch this one for now because that one's kind of out of eyesight. And this game loves to troll and put a little fish like that there. I've caught more than one rare way off to the side over here. That's green. Okay, let's go back. See if we can make this one turn green. The troll fish, I'll call him. Nope, he turned green, so he's definitely not the rare. So we have no rares in here. And sometimes you have to reset a lot before you catch the right fish. So, and this method works, right? If you don't, now the easy method is coming up, but we'll just keep doing this until we actually find it. Just to demo that it does work. So, if you don't have any other information or you don't want to use any other information about fish. So that's green. These two are green. Let's see these two here. That's green. That one hasn't gone green yet. And it just went green when I got to a popper. Again, the fish should not turn green for anything. So let's check these three fish now. The top is green, those two are green, okay. Let's check just these fish on top. They're all green except for one. Now they're all green and all these are green. Now we have one last one left at the bottom, but he turned green as I was turning back to spoon. So, again, no rare fish. And the rare fish, sometimes they don't like to spawn that much. And I may have missed it too, you know, like sometimes these fish, they kind of overlap one another and trying to find that is difficult, but okay, those are all green. Double checking myself, okay. I saw all these turn green. Let's check all these on the right. Starting with spoon. There's green on top. Green. This one on top is the only one, but it just turned green. So, no rare fish. Where are all the rare fish? So we can actually check using this as well. This is a little harder because the fish are kind of closer together, and so keeping track, I like to do it in normal mode, to be honest, and I'm going to keep doing it in normal mode. They're just spread out a little bit more. It's easier to keep track of like the fish as you scroll through. So all four of those are out. I just saw some of these turn green, so that fish is green. Let's go back to these four. All four of them turn green. Those two are green. That one's green, so that one's green. So we have top and bottom here that we're checking. That's green. Now we have the one bottom. Yellow, red, yellow, 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 red, green. Green with popper. Oh no. I thought we had it for once. Okay, all these fish are out. We need to check that one fish. Oh, it turned green on popper. There's something that turns green on popper that doesn't like anything else. It's weird. All these fish are out. That fish is out. That middle fish I haven't seen turn green yet. Maybe for popper? Yep, for popper. Yep, everything turns green in here. This is taking longer than I thought it would. These rares are not spawning. So these two are out. This does become a little bit of a long process, but it's like doing your homework. Those are all green. And we really only need to look at, because our fish is middle to bottom, We only need to look at middle to bottom fish, but I tend to look at all of them just so I can visually count them out. I get confused if I don't. My brain doesn't work well that way, but all those are out. All these are out. There's one back there, but we turned it green. Yeah. I don't know why this won't spawn. All these are out because they're top. Let's look at this bottom one. Well, just cross them all off. All of them are off. Those two in the bottom are off. Those two are off. That one's off. That one's off. That one's off. That one's off. No rare. I'm about to just say here, I'm going to show you the easy way, but I don't want to do that. I want to show you that you can do it this way. It's just this game is trolling me today. It says I'm not going to show you a rare. Yep. What is going on? I've never had rares this hard to spawn. Nope. This guy does not like it. And I've heard on this map that Fancy Carp does not like to spawn sometimes. That's green. That's green, that's green. And I know I saw that little one green. And plus he's on top. Let's check these ones. Yep, all green. Check this one. Nothing. It's nothing if not a process. All of these guys are out. Yep, not there. Neither one of the rares are spawning. Nope. Nothing. Does not want to spawn. All these guys are out. All those guys are out. These guys are out. Those are out. Where is my spawn? No, they're not on top, so no. Not those guys. Nothing at the bottom. We're not getting a spawn. This is crazy. I don't know how many times we've reset, but they will show up. It will show up. These are all on top. So down here. There's still one that hasn't turned green yet right here, but it did. They all turn green. So when people say you have to refresh a lot sometimes, they mean you have to refresh a lot sometimes. And they're not kidding. Check these ones again to make sure. Your spoon. Yep. Oh, that's green there. Let this guy out. Yeah, he's got a green. So if you're getting frustrated because you're doing it this way, there is a much easier way. So I'll put in the description. Again, you're probably already there. If you're not already there, how to skip to the easy way. But I'm going to spend the time to do this. And right here, I'll put up the timestamp for when I go to the easy way. If you want to skip ahead, feel free. Because this is kind of tedious. This is getting beyond tedious, quite frankly. This is like crazy. What is going on? This All right, we have one down here that's not turning green to anything. It's a medium fish. It's a spoon, spinner, top 8, minnow, crankbait, metal jig, popper, and whopper plopper. Nothing. So that's one of them. Now, using the information that we know, can we determine which one this guy is? He's right here in front of us. So, so I told you things kind of go in order. So this round-tailed filefish is just to the right of a small fish, and the fancy carp is right here just to the left of a medium or a large fish that we know. Right? We haven't caught the massive salmon, skin carp, or sea run das. The minnow is a small fish. I guess we didn't catch these here, but the minnow is a small fish. But just the fact that it's sooner in the list, that most likely means that that's the round-tailed paradise fish and not the fish that we're after, right? So we can determine that. Let's show you the easy way, or at least to discover this. We still haven't found the fancy carp yet, I don't think, but we can look over here and look in this list. Fancy carp is a medium fish, okay, so that could be a fancy carp. It didn't like anything. And if we look at the other rare, which is the round-tailed paradise fish, that's a small fish. So we did find the fancy carp, quite frankly. So that's a fancy carp that's right here in front of us that doesn't turn green to anything. We just found it. Now, what's the fast way? If we look at this spreadsheet, and we look at the medium, which are all green here, right? What do you see as, if you look at all the medium, we look here, there's an easy way to tell, and it's red on spoon. There's also an easy way to tell over here, so there's no medium fish. So we look for medium fish that's red on spoon, that's our fish. If we find a medium fish that's yellow on crawfish, that's our fish. Boom. Easy way done. So all of that, we could have, all that flipping through all the baits or whatever, if we look at the spreadsheet, we could tell that the fancy carp is the only medium fish at any depth that'll be red on spoon. Now, sometimes you have to look here, and if they're the same as something, you need to say, okay, are the depths different? Are the size different? But right here we can see, we scroll up, we have small fish. We scroll down, we have large fish. So if we just say, hey, we're looking at medium fish only now, and it's the only medium fish that would be red on spoon or on crawfish, and let's demonstrate that now. So now let's go to spoon. We look down here, and our fish is the fish that we had that didn't like any bait, which is this one right here, is red on spoon. Red on spoon. And it's the only medium fish that's red on spoon. There's a small fish that's red on spoon, but this is a medium fish that's red on spoon. So we know that's our fancy carp right here. Finally got it. All right, let's check with crankbait. With crawfish. Now, I said red. I was thinking red on crawfish. Go back to our chart, and it's the only medium fish that's yellow on crawfish. All the rest of the medium fish will be red on crawfish. So if we notice there's a medium fish here, medium fish here, medium fish here, we have the crawfish on our line, and these are all red. That's a large fish, small fish, large, large, large. All the rest of the medium fish are red. So that's our guy. So now let's determine what bait we want to use. We have a couple other guys that are, and especially with rares, sometimes you have to do this, especially because they're going to be yellow, so they're not going to be attracted to your bait super quickly. So let's determine which bait we want to use to catch them. So he's yellow here, but he has a couple yellow around him. That's kind of okay as long as we land the bait on him. But let's see if there's a better one so this is not going to be a better one because we have green here. Green will swim way down, and he's red. So here we have yellow. So this would probably be a better one than the crawfish because this guy's red. This guy's on the top, so he probably won't go down. This guy's yellow. Let's keep going. Yellow for everything, red for everything. And then let's check lures. I mean, right now I would probably just have gone with crawfish, but just demonstrating how this could work. So spinner here is yellow for him. Soft bait, crankbait, it's going to be red to everything else. This is not a good one because that guy's green and he's red. This is probably an okay one because they're both yellow to it. I'm going to use the minnow because the minnow sinks a little faster. Let's catch it. Now we don't want that top guy to chase our bait down, and he's going to. Okay, see, let's go back to float fishing. Now we have our target fish is down here. They're yellow. These guys are pretty far off, so we'll use a grasshopper to catch him. And we'll let it sink. We'll make sure he's in the circle. Now, some of these fish, I think these are middle fish, so they may not come down. Sometimes middle fish will go down, sometimes they won't. Let's go back. Now I'd already completed this, so I don't think I'll get my title. I've never redone a journey before. Well, we do receive reward, friend of carp in Korea, which I already had that title. But yeah, there's how you get the fancy carp, and that's really a detailed lesson on like targeting fish, whether you have a spreadsheet or whether you're just kind of deducing things on your own. So yeah, tight lines. Good luck. Good luck to any of those that are working on the fancy carp or working on those journeys.
Underneath the surface, deep secrets of the water